The X series is Insta360's most popular camera lineup by a mile, but 5 generations in, we're well into the incremental update phase. And the company has learned that to drum up a lot of talk about not a lot of updates, you can just pay creators to talk about it, which is why you're seeing loads of paid content about this camera today. It's embargo day. But if you know anything about my corner of the internet, then you know that I'm Becca and I take tech outside, but also that you can't pay for a review on my channel. So while the company did send me this review unit for free, they have no say over what I say about this camera, and they will not be seeing any part of this video before it goes live. So here's everything you actually need to know about Insta360's new $550 X5. So at this point in the X series, Insta360 is focusing all of its attention on a few issues that have long plagued the system rather than overhauling it completely. That being subpar low light performance, a complete lack of at-home repairability, sweet heavens, and users spending way too much time editing 360 footage into non-360 footage. So for the last 2 weeks, I have taken this camera everywhere with me, trying to figure out if those problems have been solved, and if those problems are solved, then could this action camera be more than just an action camera for me? Specifically, could it begin to compete with a camera of a similar size and price that I use almost every day? I'm of course talking about the Osmo Pocket 3. First, though, let's talk about everything new in this camera. There's an ever so slightly larger sensor and new dual pro imaging chips, plus of course the same 5nm AI chip from the X4, meaning that there are 3 chips in this thing, which Insta360 claims all work together to provide better noise reduction, image processing, and of course quicker compute times. And when compared to the X4, in perfect light you're gonna have a hard time telling the difference between these cameras. The only thing I notice in good light is that they make different choices about colors, and when to be more saturated or not. It's at night where the real difference is seen, and I'll get to that in a bit. And to power those new chips, that new software is of course a new battery with faster fast charging that in a perfect environment can charge a battery from 0 to 80% in only 20 minutes. Improved slightly from the 38 minutes the X4 could charge up to 80%. Insta360 is also claiming that the X5 can run 37% longer when shooting in 5K 24 frames per second with HDR off and in endurance mode, which is the battery saving mode. And that is a whole lot of caveats and basically means that if you're coming from the X4, the battery life is going to feel pretty similar on the X5. Moving to the exterior, I think this is the most exciting news for this camera system, the long-awaited ability to replace the camera's protruding double lenses. More on that in a second. First, a message from this video sponsor, Neo. I'm a video creator that needs a website that allows people to apply to work with me and see my latest content. This is Neo. It's a custom email and website building tool. You see, even in 2025, I believe that having a personal space on the internet and a custom email address is important. And Neo provides all of that very easily and for an incredibly reasonable price. It all starts with just a text prompt. Tell the program what you're looking for and bada bing. In seconds, you have the bones of your site. Then you could drag and drop sections, toggle them on and off, add photos, change the layout, get as nitty-gritty as you would like, or not, and at the end, you'll have a polished website. Best of all though, through Neo, you can have a custom email address for your business or just for yourself. Now you may notice something about the email address I created. I'm looking to hire, or well, create a database of creative folks to work with. I'm desperately in need of graphic designers, motion graphics folks, and social video editors. So if that's you, head to my site, I'll put a link down in my bio, and click the Apply to Work With Me button. It'll take you down to my submission form, and once you tell me a bit more about what you do, your submission will go straight to my hiring email. And if I think you're a fit, I'll be in touch. Oh, and all of that took me under 10 minutes to create, which is huge if you're a one-man band like myself. So if you need something like this, there's a 20% off coupon down in the bio. Thank you, Neo, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the show. A huge problem with 360 cameras are their fragile, protruding lenses. And although you can buy lens guards for these lenses, and there is this sort of insurance you can also buy that gets you cheaper lens repairs, those guards often cause bad sun reflections and scratch up easily, and having to send your camera back means that you're going to be without your camera for a bit. So finally, Insta360 is trusting all of us to do our own repairs. So after thoroughly scratching my unit, I got to fixing it with a $30 kit that only includes one lens. The whole process is pretty straightforward. First, you take off the old lens, then you make sure there's no debris left over, and then you pop on the new one. Just be warned, all the parts are very small. Ah, shoot, I need my glasses. Oh yeah, now it's going on much easier. Much better. Dang, you look good. Too bad I scratched both sides. And the last big piece of news with this camera are two new shooting modes. There's InstaFrame and PureVideo. PureVideo is simply a night mode, much like DJI's Super Night mode. And it allows you to get footage that you might actually use at night, which is something you could never say of footage taken at night with the X4. The only problem is there's a lot of smoothing happening, especially in the small details, like up here in the trees. Plus, you can only use it in 360 mode, not in single lens mode, meaning that you're going to have to edit 360 footage when you use it, and as someone who hates editing, that's a real bummer. Speaking of editing though, InstaFrame solves a little bit of that problem. InstaFrame works like this. First, you select what aspect ratio you want your flat video recorded in. Sadly, it can only be up to 1080p. And then the camera will find a subject and track it, always keeping that subject in the middle of the frame. You can even instruct the camera to do barrel rolls or 360-degree rotations, and then come back to the subject. It then saves both the flat file in the aspect ratio of your choosing, but also a 360-degree video file for framing and post, just in case you change your mind about what you want in frame. It's subject tracking, but instead of using a gimbal, it uses its 360-degree filming abilities. I really love this feature, but I don't love how much motion blur it put on me in this not lower light, but not direct sunlight situation. Otherwise, I think it's great. It eliminates editing, but it also keeps you in the frame, which is what I love about the Osmo Pocket 3 as well, and that's why I wanted to compare these cameras. So here it is.
I have a death grip on these cameras right now.
And I bet you can spot the difference between them really quickly.
Is there any depth of field happening here? Because I know that there's some happening here.
The lenses of these systems are incredibly different. You notice that the Osmo is a much tighter frame, whereas the Insta360 has that quintessential action cam look. It's a wide lens, not a lot of depth of field. And then when it comes to color, the Osmo Pocket 3 is much more muted, whereas the Insta360 has that classic high contrast HDR look, which you could of course go in and adjust.
It's National Sibling Day, and I'm late for dinner with my sister, and I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Away we go.
All right, so even with InstaFrame, these are two incredibly different systems, which I guess we could have guessed. But InstaFrame does solve one problem that I have with 360 cameras. Typically when I shoot in 360, I end up just doing subject tracking anyway and exporting a flat video file. And it's so nice to just be able to do that in camera. Like I said, I hate editing 360 footage. It was one of my first critiques I had with the 1X that came out, I don't know, 5 years ago.
You're gonna have to upload it to your phone, edit it, and then upload it to whatever platform you're sharing it on. They take time.
So weird watching really old videos of yourself online. So the app has gotten a lot better since then, but editing 360 footage just takes time. And so anytime the company brings that ability into the camera itself and knocks out that step of the process, I'm a happy camper. I was just eating a bunch of gummies, and the way my greasy fingers just totally made that gross. So those are all the new cool features, but here's everything that stayed the same, for better or for worse. Still gets toast to the touch on the front when you're shooting 8K. It's not a burn you hot sort of thing, but you definitely feel it getting warm. There's no 8K 60. I know that's what a lot of X4 users want. We don't have that here. You need to drop down to 5.7K to get that. There's also no HDR in 8K, which is also a bit of a bummer. Battery life, as I said before, doesn't feel all that different from the X4, even though on paper, the company says it is. And size and weight. The cameras pretty much feel the same, other than the different front surfaces on them. Oh, I also had a problem where every once in a while the camera would record one really overexposed frame before correcting itself. I'm positive Insta360 will blame this on early firmware, and they'll fix it, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few folks experience that as well. So is the X5 worth all of the hype? No. I mean, if it was, Insta360 wouldn't have to pay all of our favorite creators to talk about it. They would choose to talk about it. And the only reason I chose to talk about this is because I was genuinely curious how compared to the Pocket 3, and I thought you might be too. And then also I just think it's important to have like one unbiased, unpaid voice out there. So I hope that I was that for you. Now don't get me wrong, this is a great 360 camera. And out of all of the consumer level 360 cameras, this is probably the most user-friendly and has the best app. and it will without a doubt get footage that will blow your non-camera friends away. But the same could be said of the X4. Now, small steps are important, and if you're coming from an X2 and maybe even an X3, you will notice a difference between that camera and this camera. But if you have an X4, I don't think you need to upgrade this year, unless you almost exclusively shoot at night or you are breaking this lens all of the time. And if you are breaking this lens all the time, I recommend just maybe being 10% more cautious. So that's everything you need to know about the X5. My name is Becca. If I missed anything, please let me know down in the comments. I'll try to answer any questions you have. As always, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.